The Indian Space Research Organisation stands as a beacon of India's prowess in space exploration and technology. From launching its first satellite, Aryabhat, in 1975 to achieving milestones like the Mars Orbiter mission, Mangalyaan in 2014 and successful Chandrayaan mission to the moon, ISRO has consistently pushed the boundaries of space exploration. Let us know more about ISRO's successful mission from our expert, Dr. Ajay Lele, who is space expert IDSA. Sir, very warm welcome on this broadcast, first of all. This indeed is a monumental achievement by ISRO after the successful launch of small satellite launch vehicle D3. This mission certainly marks the final development flight of ISRO's smallest rocket and certainly opened new channels to space players in the country and also provided boost to Indian space programs. How do you see this, sir?
I think this is a very important step as far as commercial aspects of space is concerned in the country. Because if you slightly trace back the history, ISRO has got a very reliable vehicle called PSLV. That vehicle can carry satellites which are of a 2-ton variety. But basically, when you look at the orders which India is getting from all over the world, the orders are mainly for small satellites which are 500 kgs or even lesser weight. All these years, what used to happen is that ISRO will carry a PSLV along with the main payload. And if some sort of a space which is there, then what we call that the smaller satellites used to piggyback the thing. But over a period of time, there was an understanding that the market for smaller satellites is increasing in day by day. So ISRO decided in the year 2018 to develop another vehicle which will be specifically used for launching of a small satellites. So SSLV is a vehicle which can carry 500 kgs or less weight category satellites to an altitude of around 500 kilometers. So there is a global market which is there in small satellites, mini satellites, micro satellites, and nano satellites. So wants to capture that market, and that's the reason ISRO started making investments into this program. This program has got 3 phases. Third phase got over successfully today, and now one can say with confidence that now ISRO has operationalized this vehicle, and in coming days it will be undertaking a lot of commercial satellite launches by using this vehicle.
Dr. Lele, with India's growing space presence and cost-effective missions, do you see heavy investments in the Indian market from private companies from India and around the world as well?
As far as the startup culture in India is concerned, it started evolving during last, one can say, 5 to 6 years particularly. Places like Bangalore and Hyderabad, mainly a lot amount of startups have come into place. And these startups have started making investments into smaller technologies also. In fact, if you see today's launch also, we had one satellite which was launched by a startup also. So startups have now reached to a level of expertise where they can launch satellites by developing and designing their own satellites. So only the issue is of a launch vehicle as far as startups are concerned. The rest all technology they have already mastered, at least to launch satellites into a low Earth orbit. So ISRO has now provided a launch vehicle for that purpose. The next plan for ISRO is that to commercialize this vehicle. So ISRO has done its bit about designing and developing a vehicle, testing it successfully. Now they will be sharing the technology with the commercial sector, and in years to come, along with NSIL, ISRO will be outsourcing the entire activity of small satellite launch vehicle to this SSLV vehicle.
Definitely. Sir, this EOS-08 Earth observation satellite is carrying 3 payloads, like you were saying, you were just mentioning, and that will play a pivotal role in environmental monitoring and ocean surface wind analysis and flood detection and monitoring UV irradiance. What potential advancements do you think could be made from the data provided by this satellite, sir?
You see, ISRO has been continuously undertaking the task of ensuring that within one launch they achieve many things. Technically speaking, this launch was meant to prove that their vehicle is capable of launching a satellite. But this particular satellite which ISRO has launched, which is having 3 payloads, there are different types of payloads. First payload is essentially trying to look at the aspects of environmental monitoring, disaster monitoring, then what are the other things which are happening as far as ocean winds are concerned. This will definitely help India Meteorological Department and other climate change agencies to understand what are the things which are happening out into the space in real time. Then there are other aspects associated with this particular mission. There is a code which is looking at the aspects of the relevance of UV radiations into the space. Because we are planning to launch a Gaganyaan mission, and at Gaganyaan mission, humans will be traveling to the space. So there is a possibility of some high doses of gamma rays. Then we require certain amount of early warning.
Okay, so it will help in that.
Certain amount of impact on the health of the astronauts.
Okay, all right.
We are doing in a step-by-step fashion. So there is some element which will help the Gaganyaan mission also in this satellite.
Okay. Dr. Lele, from the humble beginnings where rockets were transported on cycles, bullock carts, to major achievements like Chandrayaan 3, Gaganyaan, Aditya L1, and the list goes on. How do you analyze India's space odyssey over the years?
I think India has been very successful in various domains of the space. But I must reiterate over here that we have achieved this success based on certain amount of failures also. And in space domain, if you see globally, there could be a lot amount of failures which have been there in case of developed countries like Russia or US also. So, in fact, it is said that we learn more from the failures, and ISRO has actually learned much more from the failures. Like, let's take the case of Chandrayaan 3 mission. We learned from a failure of a Chandrayaan 2. So, if you really look at the ISRO's success story, ISRO has been working tirelessly on their own systems. They have been analyzing their own failures, and they have been able to overcome it in very short space of time. When we talk of today's launch also, the first mission which happened in 2022 was a failure. But ISRO learned right from that failure, and quickly within 6 months, in February, on February 10, 2023, and launched the second mission.
Okay. Sir, very quickly, countries like US, they have started their space tourism programs with private companies coming into play and getting good investments and potentially bright scope in this segment. Will India's immensely growing space sector, with it, how do you think it will start its own space tourism programs? How soon?
I think if you really look at the trajectory of a development of India's private space sector during last 5 to 6 years, it is a very encouraging sign which one can say. There are two aspects associated with. One is that in the year 2023, we came out with a space policy which actually identified what the private sector can do, what ISRO can do, and what other agencies can do. So now there is a clarity as far as policy perspectives are there. Then we have come out with the FDI policy also. So there are a lot of people from outside who are making investments into the domain of a space also. So when we look at a development which is already there happening into the private sector, we have already launched suborbital missions. Recently, Agnikul has launched a particular mission.
Correct.
3D printed satellite was launched.
Agniban, yes, sir.
The scope is there.
Yeah. All right, sir. Thank you so much for coming onto this broadcast today. Thank you so much for your analysis.
Thank you.